Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did. And this week we're going to start something new with the channel. We're going to start a weekly recap where we talk about some of the biggest news headlines over this past week. So this week we're going to talk about Mulan and Disney's new way of releasing PVOD. We're going to talk about how many times Mr. John Wick can murder people in the name of his dog. And lastly, we'll look into whether or not Anthony Mackie was right in questioning whether Black Panther was the only way to hire black directors at Marvel. All right? And we can talk about that and a little bit more right after the jump. Real quick, if you haven't already, go ahead and like, share, subscribe to that channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know about it. Now, let's talk about some of the news. So this week, the biggest news is that Disney decided to release their big $200 million budget film, Mulan, on PVOD through Disney Plus. Now that's huge because they're the first ones to do that. All these other things that have skip releases or had a partial theatrical release before things shut down were budgeted at like $45 to $50 million. This is the first time where you have a major, big budget franchised film that is being taken out of the theatrical experience and being placed in the consumer's hands via PVOD. Now, Disney is still releasing this in theaters where they can, where the area is allowed, but even still, when those open, it's going to be about 40 to 50 people inside of the theater, so it's not going to maximize the amount of money that they have. So the way that they're doing it is they're releasing it and via Disney Plus. So the only way that you can even access this is via Disney Plus, which is, we'll get on that in just a second. But they're doing it for $30. $30, you can rent it, and then you can semi-own Mulan. I say semi-own because if you ever discontinue your Disney Plus subscription, then you sort of are in a wash, and the $30 that you gave up no longer means anything. But that's sort of the gamble that you take nowadays when you don't own physical media, and that's how you do it with pretty much all these streaming devices. Nobody really owns anything. And I know a lot of people had a problem with that price tag. I am one of them, but I also realize that I'm not the Mulan target audience. I'm married, but I don't have any kids. We don't. You could put me in the quote unquote no kids / single category. And yeah, this isn't for those type of people. I don't see a film like this for $30 being a financial gain for anybody. Like, I'm not gonna put $30 down to go rent Mulan and not own it, even though you sort of own it via Disney Plus. But that's because when I go to the theater, I'm going with just my wife, and we're not split. I have the movie pass, so I don't quite fit into the bubble of where they're doing their construct and who they're concerning with. They're concerned with families who $30 is a bargain for those folks who haven't been able to get out of their home. You spend about $100 just getting to the theater and getting like one drink for a family of four to go see these type of movies. So I see where that comes in. I also see that like this isn't a movie for me, but it is a fun movie for family. And I think the thing that we've seen the most is that through these VOD releases, the family films are the ones that have been succeeding. Trolls, Scoob, those are the movies that, because these parents are like, look, I want to watch something besides Frozen 2 on Disney Plus and something else. This gives us a family experience at home without having to kind of break the bank and do it on our own. So it's a good measuring test for Disney and Disney Plus to sort of see, is this a viable measure? Now they know they're not going to make all of their money back, and we're never going to actually ever find out how much they make off of this, unless they break all types of records. But the way you can truly find out if this is a success is if after this they start saying, all right, we're going to put Soul on PVOD, or we're going to put Black Widow on PVOD. If they start putting other titles on, then you know that this was a huge success. Mulan is the one they can like, all right, we can go ahead and test this. We don't know what we're going to get off of this, but we know that there's enough of a name brand recognition for this that like if people want to see it, they're going to see it. But we're never going to hear the dollar amount unless it just does gangbusters. I think where a lot of people are having their issues that they're seeing, they're like $30. I'm not going to spend this for a thing that in a couple of months is going to be free on Disney Plus anyway. Like, why would I do that? And that's for those people who just don't, this title isn't that big of a thing for them. Like, seeing this right away isn't that big isn't that big of a rush. It reminds me a lot of like video gamers and gamers with downloadable content. Some people want to do that downloadable content immediately and they'll spend the extra 35 to 40 bucks to get it right then and there. And then there's some people like myself who are like, all right, in 4 months, when I actually have time to play it, in this case, when I have time to watch it, I can watch it for a lot less and still have it on my time and in my home. And I think that's the difference. And that's where you have to kind of see where this medium and where this world goes. You have to see, you're going to have some people on both sides. You're going to have some people on who are want it immediately, and some people who are like, I can wait forever. You're not going to appease everyone, but so for the people who are willing to watch it now, $30, it's a bargain. For those who can wait, you're going to stretch. But I guarantee you that there are movies that $30 price tag will not affect you one way or the other. If Endgame was the film that they were releasing on PVOD, or Widow, or I don't know, Wonder Woman, I think the $30 price tag would be sufficient for most people. And they do it in a heartbeat. I just think Mulan is the one that, for a lot of people, doesn't move the needle one way or the other. What I do find fascinating is that typically with VOD, you have to go to, there's no one place to go find where to download this or where to purchase this. You have to go to, it's possibly iTunes, it's possibly Apple, you can possibly buy it through the PlayStation Store, you can possibly buy it here. This is the one time when you kind of like, oh, I know where this is at. This is on Disney Plus. I can go to Disney Plus as a subscriber and purchase the PVOD there. Like, this is the first time that you're getting a brand to brand, studio to studio, merging, and they're releasing their product to the masses. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this works. And if this is a model that continues on, I don't think it will, because I think there's a couple of loopholes that they're losing with piracy and all of that stuff, where they can't control quite the amount of money that they're making. But I think it's a cool time to try it, and I think there's nobody else who can take a loss better than Disney and still kind of come out of this unscathed. The problem is they're pissing off a lot of those theater investors, and that's where this gets a little dicey on their end. But who's going to tell Disney that they're mad at them? They're like, man, Disney's really pissing me off, because all of these theaters were expecting this to be the first film to bring families and audiences back to the theaters. Like Tenet, it'll get some folks in there, but that's not the draw that's going to pull in families who spend money. Like when you go to a Mulan type of film, or one of those 4-quadrant family type of films, you're bringing in mom, dad, and 2 kids, and you're buying soda, you're buying drinks, you're buying popcorn, you're doing all this stuff. That's a lot of money being spent. The theaters were expecting that to happen. Now, this gives those families a little bit more time to not come back to the theaters, and theaters were really expecting people to return. And now that's not going to happen for a bit, and those theaters are upset and they're pissed. But they're never going to say anything to Disney, because you know why? Disney has about 60% of the other films that are coming out in the year. So they say something to Disney, they get pissed off at Disney. It's like, cool, we're not going to get you Black Widow. Theaters are not going to really speak out about this. But it's an interesting tit for tat, and I think Disney has the clout to try something like this, pull this off, and no one's going to bat an eye to tell them that they can't. Some other news for the week, they have decided that when you kill a man's dog and he goes on a massive murdering spree, that you can do this at least 4, possibly 5 times. That's right, John Wick is getting 2 more sequels, a 4 and a 5, being shot back to back next year to come out in Memorial Day 2022. Look, I love John Wick 3. It was fun. I still think, for me, my personal favorite out of the series has always been John Wick 1. I like it when it was grounded, a little bit more serious, and it didn't have a world that was so big. Like, it had a world, it started to put seeds of what the world is, but it didn't get too big. John Wick 3, the action sequences in that are, bar none, phenomenal. But I think we're now getting to a point where the world is getting so large, I don't know where it ends, and I just don't know. I feel like this excessively, we're getting too much too fast. And I don't know if this world, the larger we get, the less and less connected I get to it. That said, I do think that having a 4 and a 5 back to back so you can focus in and kind of close in the story and tell the story that you want to, because you know you have at least 2 more times at bat, and possibly and hopefully nothing going beyond that. I think 5 is where you should stop and be like, all right, cool, this was the series we gave you. Here you go. And you can do spin-offs, do the Continental, do all the other stuff that you plan to do, the ballerina. But for this main series, 5. You said 5. Let's do 5 and let's get the hell out. I know Keanu is everyone's golden boy and rightfully so, sweet man. Let's not overuse it or go to the well too many times on all of his series, okay? And while we're going to Keanu has another film coming out this year called Bill and Ted Face the Music. And that film has been moved up a few days from Labor Day to August 28th. That's because Labor Day is stacked. You have Tenet dropping in theaters. If you decide to go to theater, I won't be one of them, but if you decide, it's there for you. You're going to have Mulan on PVOD. You're going to have The Boys dropping season 2. You're going to have NBA 2K 21, I believe we're on now, dropping on PlayStation, as well as the Marvel's Avengers game dropping on all gaming profiles. So it's just going to be a busy day for media or fans of any type of whatever medium you have, you're going to have something. So Bill and Ted didn't want to get lost in that shuffle. So they moved up a couple of days to kind of get some eyes on them. And I think that's a smart move. You get in before, have opinions made, and hopefully if it's good enough, word of mouth can travel so that you can kind of pick up a little bit of steam before Labor Day weekend hits. So I think that's a smart move. And the last bit of news, a few weeks ago, Anthony Mackie sort of ruffled a bit of feathers and got into a little bit of hot water. I don't think what he said was wrong, but I think maybe saying it probably is like, hey, you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. But he brought up a point that just because Marvel gave Black Panther a black director, black writer, and black producer, an all black cast to the black film, I don't know if he said they don't necessarily think they should be pat on the back. He says just because if you can only hire the black folks, black directors and all that to do the black films, are you at the same time saying the black people, directors, producers, writers aren't good enough when you have a cast that is mostly white? And I got what he was saying. And apparently so did Marvel. As they have hired Nia DaCosta, who is completed, just delays, has done the upcoming Candyman remake, is a African American woman that has been hired to direct Captain Marvel 2 starring Brie Larson, which is a big get. Marvel has a knack for finding these directors right on the cusp of blowing up or right on the cusp of doing something otherworldly, and I think this is a good move. This is a good move on both to kind of show Anthony Mackie, and even though I'm sure that this has nothing, they may not be coinciding, they may not have anything to do with the other, but it certainly doesn't help. It doesn't hurt his point that Marvel quickly was like, yeah, there's something to that. I think we do need to be able to show that people can direct whomever. It doesn't necessarily have to be only the black film or only the Asian film or only this film that they direct. I think just all the things like Just Mercy being directed by an Asian American, like you have the ability to, if you're a good director, you can direct whatever. And I think Marvel has wised up and given that. And hopefully, I haven't seen Candyman because it hasn't come out yet, but hopefully Nia can give Captain Marvel a bit of a flair that I personally thought it was missing that first time around. I hope she can kind of give it a little bit of a jazz, a little bit of something that makes it more palatable for people of all ages, colors, creeds, and religions. So well done, Marvel. That was a good move, and well done, Anthony Mackie, for calling them out. Maybe had nothing to do with it, but it certainly kept them honest in the search. So that's the news for this week. Let me know if there's anything else you wanted to discuss. Go ahead and leave those in the comments as well. How did you feel about Mulan dropping on PVOD? How many more John Wicks do you want? Was Anthony Mackie right? And are you going to check out Bill and Ted Face the Music when it comes out? Leave all those comments and all that discussion in the comments below. You can hit us up on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can find us on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that is on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. This current episode, we're going to be talking about the latest first two seasons of Harley Quinn on HBO Max, formerly on DC Universe, which no longer is going to exist pretty soon. But if you haven't seen this cartoon and you're an adult, you should watch it and watch it quickly because it'll make you just bust into laughter. If you have a sick sense of humor and if you're a DC fan, those two worlds collide and create some magical moments. So go ahead and check that out. But like always, take care, be safe, be well. I'll see you next time.